but when it comes to lawn care, at least I mow my grass and things are taken care of. But yeah, in this case, it's like, oh, everybody's lawn looks like mine now. I'm like, yes.
Yes, all right. We're back on the Ohio Painting Company podcast in a very dry Ohio and still fairly warm outside. The temperatures have calmed down, thank goodness, but it is just dry, and like we're under some serious natural disaster warnings. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the news or not, but Southeast Ohio, opposite of where you are, is bad. I mean, brown yards everywhere, contractors that work outside, not necessarily able to get a whole lot of stuff done. So I wanted to get your take on the drought that's happening in Ohio, if it's affecting paint, if it has to, make you guys adjust your application processes, anything like
Yeah.
that. So dry Ohio,
Real
what does
quick,
that mean?
you said Southeast Ohio is drier than all quadrants in Ohio.
Yes, and there is a map online provided by, I think it's called the U.S. Drought Monitor, and it'll start with the entire country, and then you can click on your region. And if you search specifically for Ohio, it'll just show you that. And
I was just thinking, driving down the road the other day, is like with this drought, it's a great thing that the actual smoking rate has gone down,
Mhm.
across because I mean, what's between here
Wow.
and you, and it's nothing but farmland, forestry, open fields, and you got a little place by you that is kind of known as a college town or party town, OU. So
Correct.
when I was a child, trips to OU involved chain smoking cigarettes and driving at 80 miles an hour as you race towards, the fun finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Flicking cigarettes out the window.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
right.
That's
Yeah.
what you did back then.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think it's like, and somebody throws like, and it happens. It's crazy. You watch somebody throw something out of a vehicle like a cup in front of you, and I'm just like, they might as well be murdering somebody. Like now, now
Filled with rage.
I'm like, what in the world goes through your mind? Just like that, you can just throw a cup out the window. And but back in the 80s and 90s, like people just
Looks
did it.
good.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
dead right too. And you see videos online of people like throwing stuff out of the window and somebody's picking it up with a broom and a dustpan and shoving it back in their car window while they're sitting on the
Yeah.
sidewalk. You love those, the heroes that don't wear capes. This is our beautiful map of Ohio. You are
Tearing
able to
it
see
up.
it.
Wow.
And it is dry. So here we are, Washington County, highlighting green. That's where I am. Which one are you guys in over here?
Montgomery,
Oh,
Warren.
okay, there we go. So there's Montgomery, there's Warren, Butler.
Yeah.
You really do
we're in
hit
severe.
hit this area hard. Yeah, you guys are in the severe area, D2 as it's labeled on the U.S. Drought Monitor. But over here, it's pretty bad. It's dry. Our grass is dead, and it really
Yeah.
made me start to wonder about this whole contractor process. Nick, you kind of laid it out for me. It's great when things are dry. It helps the paint application process, but dive into again the
Yeah. So
constricted.
for instance, yeah. So I mean, if wood's all shrunk like metal, it's ambient temperature. It might get hot, but it's really not going to expand and contract as much as wood is, which I say it's living, even though it's not on the tree anymore. It's still
It's what wood
it,
does.
it's what wood does. It retains moisture, it exudes moisture, it expands, it contracts more than any other thing that we paint, more than concrete, metal, or anything. So, you have wood trim going all the way around the house and you're caulking it up. Some of our heavier bodied caulkings um, are they have more solids in it. That's meant to give it longer life. But if you cram a bunch of that into a gap, and then that gap closes because the wood expands back out to close the miter, then it's going to basically it's going to pop it like a pimple almost. It's going to push that caulking out, and now you're going to have a bubbled ridge there. So you just have to be aware of that. Not that it's necessarily bad. It's still sealed. It just doesn't look the greatest. Um, so anyhow, I mean, be aware of that, and if it ever expands to a point, so you have to change some of the caulkings that you use or how you caulk. Main thing is and we what's tied to a house. It's usually a deck, so we'll have decks that we are finishing alongside of a house, and decks are actually can be too dry. They can be so dry that that it drinks the water out of the paint before the paint actually has a chance to soak in and penetrate into the wood. So there's a misting application that can be used with some stains that they even promoted in normal conditions just to help that stain chase down into the fibers of the wood. But like so on decks right now, yeah, I mean it's a little bit too dry to do those and effectively be able to reach the bucket warranty or expected lifespan span, so to speak. So, but yeah, I mean, really that and keeping the guys waters, making sure that they've got water out in the field and they're not because they will. Our guys, gosh, do they work hard? They will just work right up to the point where they'll just drop. So, you got to keep encouraging them to stay hydrated and drink and try to take water out to them. And if we can't make it out there, just remind them they've got to keep drinking water.
Yeah, for sure. I was washing a car the other day, and it doesn't sound related, but I promise I'll tie it back in. And it was a gray car, and the first initial rinse that you do to get all of the visible dust off of it, I was like, all right, we're on a roll now. So you do wash, wax, wash, dry, wax. And I'm like, this thing looks exactly the way it did when I pulled it in the driveway. And I'm like, what am I even doing? I've been working on this forever because waxing takes forever. But and I couldn't figure out what the deal was, why it just looked like this dull, bland thing that I just spent all this time on. And then I put tire shine on the tires and it just set it all off. And I was like, there it is right there. And it started to gleam. The sun's hitting it right in the right spots. And I'm like, that's what I was looking for the whole time. And it was because the tires, they didn't have any gloss on them. And I would say people's yards are the gloss on the tires. If they have a brown yard and it just looks terrible, how does that reflect up onto the paint of the house to really give it that set off factor? When you're trying to set something off, everything kind of ties together with curb appeal. You got to have the clean sidewalk that snakes up to the front door. You got to have the plants. You got to have the green grass with the lawnmower stripes. So if you're missing one of those things, it could look a little off. So with a dead yard, how is it presenting a brand new painted house to somebody?
That's a good point. But, at the time I mean, that's such a drastic change for the neighborhood, that, I mean, it doesn't really have the focal point that you're thinking, on the yard. Most colors, but if you're just going with the single coat, we're going to keep the same color. Yeah, it doesn't really do a whole lot. But if you think about that, painting your house the same color,
right. You're used to it.
Yeah. I mean, it just is what it is. You're happy with it, whatever. I love drastic changes. I mean, I just think that, some of the darker colors that are in right now they're really phenomenal. So that's pretty cool. But we've also got, paint that you can now paint in 104-degree weather. So
that's up from what? Were we at 102 and then we went to 104?
No, I don't think we were allowed to be in the hundreds at all.
Latitude, latitude had us in the hundreds.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, latitude. Okay, yeah. Sure.
But what was the temp before then? That you wouldn't want to.
I think it was in that. I mean, because they play numbers safe by the book. I mean, but it was definitely in like the mid 90s, mid to low 90s.
Yeah.
Typically, when you look at a technical data sheet, they start from 70 to 80, then 80 to 90, and they go to like 90 to 95, and they give you anticipated dry times, and they scale backwards too when we get into colder temperatures. So.
We've got what, 0 degrees or minus 20? What was that we were out there using?
There's some, yeah. I mean, you can get some catalyzed products like, high solids, polyurethane and some of these other ones that are, they are catalyzed and willing to cure out at even -18. So it really is, it's a pure chemical catalyzation. Doesn't require necessarily a whole lot of evaporation. And it will, I mean, temperature affects its curing time, but it inevitably will cure out in colder temperatures. So,
boy, I bet you guys love when that technology grows a little bit more every single time. Like you get all excited when the forecast says, "Oh, it's going to be 105. We can't go out and paint." And then, Sherwin comes out with something that can be applied at 108 You get the
Yeah.
phone call, hey, it's going to be 106 tomorrow. Can you come paint my house? And you're like, yeah, we have the stuff. You
Yeah,
get out there just sweating nonstop. But hey, it's business, baby.
It
that's
is
right. You got to
business.
make the money.
That's right. I'm interested in learning more about how, I mean, obviously you guys got it handled in the heat, you guys got it handled in the dry stuff, but how does it feel to not be a lawn care company? How does it feel to not be a landscaping company when
Oh
Well,
my
your
gosh.
brother, your uncle Jason, man, he's like, actually, what he's done, is, because that's what he does. He started painting his house. He's
okay.
like, "Well, I've got all this time off. I might as well paint my house." So, yeah, if you're a landscaping guy, hopefully you saved your pennies up. Most of them do. I mean, most of them you can, landscaping, it's hot. You're out there, it's sweaty, you're gas, grease, whatever. And then you've got all that, all over you. But if you play your cards, I'm not saying that, this is everybody, but if you put back some money, most of those jobs are cash money.
Mm.
So you can save some serious money and make yourself through, make your way through the winter, without a doubt. So I kind of alluded to bad tax form maybe on that, but
Yeah, I'm talking to Jamie. Jamie runs a multi-million-dollar landscaping
well,
company,
that's
and
different.
they are legit and
Right.
sweating it because they've got production schedules and things to meet. They're planting trees. There's money tied up in that. There is no warranty on a tree that makes it out of the nursery. It's up to, if he's going to offer any warranty, he has to assure that the tree is planted and also watered correctly and installed correctly, and then it continues to be watered. Well, he's at the mercy of irrigation that customers have in their yards and the water availability. So like he either puts his foot down and doesn't move forward on things and screws up everybody's schedule, or he takes on an unknown in his whole warranty and production process. So he's got trees that are out there, wasting trips and time. I don't want to say wasting it, but just stressing over trying to keep things watered and watered in so they continue to grow and take root better. And that's all money that's not accounted for. On the flip side, their lawn mowing, they have their they haven't mowed lawn in like a month, right?
Right.
So it's just, it's steamrolling backwards for them. So I we've been through things like that too. You can't change what you can't control. And we have a tendency to laugh at it in hindsight, but yeah, I don't want to laugh at them right now because I mean it's tough for them.
Yeah. I've mowed my lawn one time properly this entire summer. And what I mean by that is I let it get high enough to where I could consistently see grass clippings coming out of the side of the lawnmower for an entire pass. And after that, you just put it on hold for weeks and weeks. And, I love mowing grass. Don't get me wrong. I miss it a lot. And it's kind of a bummer. They just got this brand new lawnmower that is just
Yeah,
sitting there waiting to perform, and I can't do it because it's all brown and dead out there. So that's where I'm at with that. The home projects kind of came to a stop here, and we're just waiting for our folks down the road to get started on the house. And I think we're saving up our energy. That's why we're not dumping too much more time into
well,
into the farmhouse. We're saving up energy so we can hit the new place.
I have not landscaped at all in my yard, and I've been there for 15 years. I need very minimal stuff. So the saying that misery loves company. It's like I try not to be an advocate for that, but when it comes to lawn care, I want to say my yard looks the worst out of my neighborhood because there's a couple houses that don't. At least I mow my grass and things are taken care of. But yeah, in this case, it's like, oh, everybody's lawn looks like mine now. I'm like, yes.
Yes, all right. That's awesome. But I've seen places up there, and boy, are we away from painting. But a lot of these neighborhoods that you go in, it is manicured and it is fed properly and watered properly. And those are some sweet spots. I mean, Kevin, you've taken me up to some of these joints that you guys have painted. I mean, the backyards, the front yards, the entire painting process that you guys have done is just gorgeous. So, I mean, apparently, Nick, that's not the same for every single
Nick
town.
lives in the slum. I mean, he
Oh, I
really
see.
he has he has a hard time, going home at night. He waits till late, to pull in the driveway, so nobody really sees him go into the neighborhood. No, Nick lives in an awesome neighborhood. If his yard looks like crap, it's because he has no time. He's like so dedicated kid wise, and then to work. I mean, he doesn't have time. I will
Yeah.
say he is correct. His yard looks like crap. There's no flowers. He ripped out all the bushes because that was a maintenance nightmare. Why would you have those, right? Yeah.
Because they were dying. They just haven't been replaced. The boxwoods they were lopsided. So I was
Yep.
like, okay, I can't.
Which just proves my point. It's okay. You're with me on this. I see.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Oh,
My don't give a shit threshold when it's matched. I'm like, okay, yeah, no. So I have not, yeah, I'm not a yard guy.
if you live in a neighborhood, that's not so, as nice, and you do fix up your yard, it really does encourage other people to do the same thing. Not everybody, of course,
Hmm.
but it does get your surrounding neighbors, thinking about their property. Well, yeah, not everybody, of course, but it does. It helps a lot. So, you know, that's about all I got to say there. So,
Nick's got the zoning department blowing his phone up.
yeah.
No, I haven't
Clean
had
this
a
shit
letter
up.
again.
No, he's got
Right.
the zero turn too. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he likes getting out there playing.
I
So.
gotcha. Well, you know what an investment that is to not care about your grass, to have a zero turn. Just get a little Toro push mower if you don't care that much. Because I got a
I
spot for that
care.
zero turn.
I care enough. I care about getting it done in a timely fashion. That
Right.
zero turn has that turns my yard from a three hour project into a 1 hour project. So
It does.
Pulling up today. I was pulling up in a place today, and I know so in Oakwood, which is what we're talking about. Nice yards, front and back, the whole deal, right? I was pulling up, and I noticed even the side, like between the road and the sidewalk, the city has got sprinklers, you know, to keep that even, as green as possible. Now, I don't know why they failed to put them in the median, but the grass in the median, dead.
Oh,
It's the weirdest thing.
wow.
Yeah. And then, of course, all the yards are nice. And, that's the way it is, but
Yeah. Well, that's
pretty funny.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say don't worry about the weeds. I'd say weeds, you'll have to cover them with mulch, but that is probably the worst thing you could do because they're just going to figure out a way to sneak right back up through that stuff.
They come through no matter what. It doesn't matter how often you go out there. You could go out every week and pull thistles out of the beds at the house. Yeah,
mm.
without a doubt. But it's just something that, used to be done.
weeds along with cockroaches survived the apocalypse. So
Oh yeah, there you go.
mhm.
Or the drought. Hey, that's what we're dealing
Or
with
the
right now.
drought.
The grass
Mhm.
apocalypse that's going on right now. We got
Yeah,
mice. We got mice out the wazoo in this house.
wouldn't be too bad.
Uh,
I wouldn't want to sleep with a mouse running across my face. That would trip me out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I like getting, like little traps. And 310 Colgate Drive. All right. You know
Okay.
where that's at?
That would be on the Green Street side, right?
Okay.
Not the
Yeah.
State Route 60 side. Okay.
Right. So up there by the old bowling alley.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So 310 Colgate Drive. One day I was in the basement on the stairs, and I remember we had newspapers set out everywhere, and little mouse traps, big rat traps, all kinds of traps, right? Were underneath the newspaper with just the peanut butter sticking up, right?
Ah, okay.
We'd sit on those steps and we'd watch the mice and the rats. This is horrible. But as a kid, we lived in poverty. My dad was like, whatever.
We don't have a television, kids. Get down and watch those mice die.
What's this? And so if the rats would get in those traps and they'd get caught and they'd flip back and forth. And that was our entertainment. My mom was like, Aunt Grandma Connie was like, she's like, somebody needs to put a bucket over that. So that's what our job was. If they would flop too much, we'd have to go get a 5-gallon bucket and stick it over it, because we weren't allowed to watch the mouse or rat die horribly.
Oh, okay, right.
The worst story I could have ever told in my entire life. But we were also, picking up government cheese at the time, the 18-wheeler at the fairgrounds, and
Yeah.
this is what you did. But, that's pretty much Appalachia, right there in Marietta. I mean, that's like,
Foothills,
that's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it was dirt poor. That's where, so anyway, so it's really good to see somebody like yourself and really the city, you know, come back to life because I mean, I believe Marietta is just a really nice historical place that you could go vacation and have a really good time.
Oh yeah,
Sternwold Festival, had a great time there the other weekend.
yeah, you really confused me, Nick. I don't know if you know about this. Kevin texted me at 11 o'clock at night, and it just randomly he says, "Hey, are you up on top of that hill over there?" And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he said, "I'm at your mom's house with Corey, and I just heard something up on top of the hill. I thought it was you." I'm like, "Oh no."
Sounded just like so your uncle, is it right? Your uncle lives up there?
Correct.
Yeah. So I just thought, I mean, they were having a party. There's a
Oh,
game
okay.
or something on the back deck. The lights are all lit up. I didn't go up, but anyway, yeah. So Cheryl has her own little party in the back.
Exactly, which sometimes is more fun because I think hanging out with two people is way better than hanging out with 25.
Amen to
By
that.
far. By
Yeah.
far. Yes.
The best quotes, and I'll leave this with other people, and I can't say that it's mine. Um, the teacher tells the students when he was asked about friends, how many friends do you think a regular person should have? And he said, it's always better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. We'll talk to you soon.
Deuces.
See ya.